The office of Greyline Solutions was never the kind of place anyone wanted to stay late in. It wasn't because of the workload or the boss. It was the silence. That heavy, pressing silence that made the fluorescent lights hum louder, the air conditioning buzz sharper, and your own breathing feel like an intrusion. Evan had been working as the night security guard there for 3 years. He liked the quiet, the routine, the feeling of being the only one in an entire building. Every night at 10 p.m., he'd walk the floors, check that all doors were locked, and then settle into the security room. A small, dimly lit space lined with monitors. But lately, the building didn't feel empty anymore. It started one Thursday night. Just after 2 a.m., Evan was sipping lukewarm coffee when one of the cameras, Camera 7, in the hallway near the elevators, flickered. For a moment, he thought it was just interference. But when the image stabilized, there was someone standing there. A woman. Her face was blurry, almost pixelated, like the camera couldn't focus on her. She wore a pale gray dress that hung loose around her shoulders, and her hair seemed to float, as if she were underwater. Evan leaned closer, squinting. The figure didn't move. She just stood there, facing the elevator doors. He picked up his radio and called out, "Anyone still in the building?" His voice cracked a little. No reply. When he looked back at the monitor, she was gone. He flipped through the camera feeds. Nothing. Every hallway was empty. He replayed the footage. Nothing appeared in the recording. Camera 7 showed only an empty corridor, as if she had never been there at all. That was the first night. The next evening, Evan mentioned it to Brian, the day guard. Brian laughed it off. "Man, those cameras glitch all the time. You probably just caught your own reflection." But Evan couldn't shake the image. That static-filled figure had been facing the elevator doors, not toward the camera. By the third night, Evan was jumpy. He found himself glancing at the monitors every few seconds. At exactly 3:13 a.m., it happened again. Camera 4, the break room. The woman stood by the vending machine, her head slightly tilted, hair hanging forward. The fluorescent light above her blinked, and each flicker made her appear closer to the camera, like she was inching forward between the frames. Then the feed went black for a second. When it came back, she was right up against the lens. Evan froze. He could see the faint outline of her face now. Pale skin, hollow eyes, and a mouth that didn't quite close, hanging open as though caught mid-scream. Then the camera feed cut to static. He ran to the break room, heart pounding. The door was locked. No one was inside. He went back to the security room, trembling. When he checked the footage, the recording again showed nothing. No woman, no movement, just an empty break room. He sat there for hours, staring at the monitors, waiting for something to change. At 5 a.m., as dawn crept through the blinds, Evan packed up to leave. But before clocking out, he glanced one last time at Camera 7, the elevator hallway. The woman was there again. Only this time, she was smiling. Evan came back to work 3 nights later. He told himself he shouldn't, that after what he saw, no job was worth it. But bills had a way of silencing fear. Greyline Solutions was quiet as always. The elevator hummed softly as it climbed to the 12th floor, the metallic doors opening into the empty lobby. The air felt heavier than before, the kind of stillness that presses against your chest, like the entire building was holding its breath. The motion-activated lights flickered on slowly, one by one, like reluctant eyes waking from a nightmare. He walked down the corridor to the control room, his footsteps echoing in rhythm with the hum of the fluorescent bulbs overhead. He turned on the monitors. The familiar mosaic of camera feeds filled the screens. The hallway, the lobby, the server room, the break area, and the staircase that spiraled down into shadow. Everything looked calm. For the first hour, nothing happened. He sipped stale coffee and listened to the whir of the ceiling fan. But around 2:17 a.m., a light blinked on in the east corridor, Camera 12. He leaned forward. Someone was standing there again. Same figure, same posture. A woman, head tilted, her hair hanging like dark curtains. The air around her seemed to flicker, like static crawling across the lens. He froze. He switched to Camera 13. She wasn't there. Camera 14. Empty. Then he switched back to camera 12 and she was closer now. Only a few feet from the camera. Her face still hidden. The faint shimmer of movement behind her like ripples in glass. Evan's hand shook as he reached for the radio. Base, this is Evan. Are there any maintenance workers in the East Hall tonight? The radio hissed back with silence. He looked again. She was gone. He let out a shaky breath and stood. He told himself it was a glitch. Maybe a reflection. Maybe his mind. He left the control room and started down the corridor, flashlight in hand. The beam trembled slightly as he walked. The air grew colder with each step. Halfway down the hall, he heard something faint. A whisper. It wasn't coming from behind or ahead. It was coming from the walls. He stopped. The lights flickered once, twice, and then he saw movement in the reflection of a glass door ahead. A figure passing just behind him. He turned instantly, but there was nothing. He tried to breathe, but his chest tightened. Something deep inside told him he wasn't alone anymore. He turned back toward the control room, walking faster now, then almost running. When he entered, all the monitors were on, but every single one of them was showing the same feed. The East Corridor. Except this time, the woman was standing directly in front of the camera. Her face was finally visible. Her skin looked pale and swollen, her eyes sunken black like deep wells, her mouth slightly open as if mid-scream, but no sound came out. Evan's breath hitched. Her eyes slowly rolled up toward the lens, locking with his. And then the monitors glitched. For half a second, he saw himself sitting there in the control room. But behind him, over his shoulder, she was standing inches away. He turned around so fast his chair fell over. Nothing. Just the faint smell of damp earth and static in the air. The phone rang. It was the landline, the one no one ever used. He reached for it with shaking fingers. Greyline Solutions Security Office, he managed to whisper. A soft, distorted voice came through, broken by static. Evan, I see you. He dropped the phone. The line went dead. He stared at the monitors again. They had switched back to normal, different rooms, empty hallways, lifeless spaces. But in one of the feeds, the one facing the main entrance, the door was slowly opening on its own. He heard it too, the faint creak echoing through the building. Is someone there? He called out. His voice trembled. A faint reply came from the hallway. A whisper, like a voice echoing through a tunnel. Evayan. He backed away. He wanted to run, but his body refused. Then the power flickered. The monitors went black. Total silence. A minute passed. 2. And then one monitor blinked back to life. Camera 12 again. The woman was there. Closer than ever. But something was different, the way she moved. Slow. Jerky. Like an old film running out of frame. She turned her head, and the camera began to shake violently. Suddenly, all the screens lit up again. Dozens of copies of her face filled the monitors, each one smiling now. White, wrong, distorted, and then static. The lights died. The next morning, when the day shift arrived, they found the control room empty. The monitors were all blank except one. Camera 12 was frozen, showing an empty corridor with a single chair placed right in the center. A chair that hadn't been there before. The police found Evan's flashlight near the chair. His badge lay next to it, cracked down the middle. But there was no sign of him anywhere in the building. They checked the security footage. Every camera feed was intact except camera 12. The moment Evan disappeared, the footage cut to static for exactly 6 minutes and 13 seconds. When it resumed, the hall was empty. But in the reflection of the corridor's glass door, there was something faint. A shape, someone standing behind the camera. Months later, a new guard was hired. He lasted only one shift. He said he felt watched. Said he kept hearing faint whispers through the speakers. He told the manager he saw a figure behind him in the reflection of the monitors. A man's silhouette. When the manager checked the footage later, she froze. Camera 12 showed the same corridor again. The same empty hall. And that same chair. Except this time, someone was sitting in it. A man in a security uniform. Evan's uniform. His face barely visible, but enough to see he was smiling. And beside him, in the corner of the frame, A woman's long black hair drifted into view, like smoke curling from nowhere. The tape ended there. They never replaced the night guard again. The office was shut down 2 months later. People said the system kept turning itself on at 3 a.m. every night, always showing the same thing: camera 12, the corridor, and two shadows sitting side by side, waiting.